Dear residents of Pasir Ris, Pongo, GRC, a very good evening to all of you. I thank you for coming down to listen to our speech in this rally. Now, I understand the ruling party has been saying the opposition parties would only appear once every 5 years. Now, let me correct. This is not true. Our party behind me, by Mr. Desmond Lim, the gentleman that's sitting behind me here, he has been walking the ground for several years already. And he has ongoing programs for distribution of rice, lunch bag, and the most recent one, he has organized a dental service for our residents. And these are free of charge. For those who are not aware, I just want you all to know this. Now, I myself is a resident of Pasir Ris. I stay in Pasir Ris for the past 21 years. And let me tell you, at least for the last 5 years or even more, I have not seen my MP. Now, the ruling party also said, by voting for opposition, we will bankrupt Singapore. Now, let me tell you, or I relate to you, from one of my sources, I understand our government has been spending as much as 400 million for international students as sponsorships. That's 400 million, my friend, 400 million. It's not a small amount. And the recent Olympic Youth Game budget, it was budgeted for 104 million. And you know what? It exceeded, it hits 304 million, over 300 millions. Now, if you add these two numbers together, 300s, 400s, we're talking about 700 millions. Now, you tell me, who is going to bankrupt who? I think we citizens is going to be the one to get bankrupt first. The ruling party also felt the opposition has got no standing on our policy. The noise of our opposition party, and they're immune to us. But let me tell you, our noise are the noise of the resident. If the ruling party is caring enough, they cannot ignore the noise of our people. They also said they do not need an opposition party to check on them. They can check themselves. This is just as good as saying, I set my own examination papers, I mark myself, and I grade myself. This is something that I cannot understand. Now, I also ask all of you here, and I said, there's no more blank check anymore. There's no more of this blank check anymore for our ruling party. I'm not going to give any more blank check. And I ask you tonight here to do the same thing. Make sure you know the check that you issue and you know how much are you paying for and what is it that you're paying for. Accountability and transparency is all we ask, and that's our right. Let me ask, for the last 5 to 10 years, are you happier? Is your lifestyle getting better? You know for yourself. We can see many old folks, women and men, above the age of 60 or more, and they are still struggling. They're still struggling to work. You can see many of them are collecting scraps, old carton boxes, cans. Yes, yes. You all have to speak up. Take back your rights. You think they do this for fun? You think they just only want care and concern? And let me tell you, they are doing this to earn their keeps. They're doing this to earn money. They're doing this to bring the food back on the tables. Thank you. You speak for all. Something is strange here. While the ruling party is able to pay generously, very generously, for high salaries, for our ministers, but they can't even afford to give a decent livelihood to our old folks, citizens. Now, look around us. Our government, they has a hands in almost everything around us. The HDB, the URA, the SLA, they are in a position to give you affordable cost of living, affordable in a way whereby it is not too high for all of us. But I don't see this is coming. I'm sure many of you will experience a situation that you're paying high housing. You're still paying your installment loans, housing loans. You pay high medical expenses when you have chronic illnesses. You pay high preschool, kindergarten fees. And all this stuff. And all this, our government is in a position to control this cost. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. I wait long, it doesn't come. The cost is still so high, and it gets even higher. Yep, 2 more days. Countdown. Now, do you remember the keyword they always like to use is productivity? Now I ask each of you, are our workers in control of productivities? Do they have total control? You ask yourself, the worker do not have control over the demand The worker have no control over the sales. So how can they be the fault to be answer for low productivity? And if you can recall in the newspapers, we have 35,000 of people affected by the downtime of the MRT in Punggol and Sengkang. You remember? Just only this recent newspapers. Now let me give you some equation here. 35,000 of people are affected by the downtime. I can tell you the downtime is about 2.5 to 3 hours because we were there. We were timing it. And after that, by the time the workers find some transport means, free transport or whatever, by the time they get back to their office, maybe it's 5 hours later. You make the calculation. 5 hours, 35,000 of people, the man hours they're talking about. Plus, I just work on a very low, a very normal wages. I give you $20 per man hour. I don't even talk on the high end or the middle end. $20, including CPF benefit and whatever. You calculate it is close to $3 million of downtime, and that goes our productivity. In just one sleep, you're talking about 3 millions. Is it fair that you are accountable for being an unproductive worker? Think about it. Now you know, HDB is in control of the supply. They also control the price. When they allow the access of your CPF funds to buy your flats, I have two equations here. The price of your house, the public house, goes up, while your saving in your CPF, which is meant for your retirement, gone down. Does that make sense to you? And with the high price, the so-called your house, you can enjoy when you retire because of the enhancement of your assets. But let me ask you, when you sell the house, you need a place to stay. You still pay for a very high price, or even a rental house. That's a problem here. Another thing, your children, can they afford another house? Because the price has gone up this way. Think about this. The cost of healthcare is very high. As I mentioned earlier, especially for chronic illnesses. The subsidies are subject to condition, and so you need to purchase separate insurance for your medical bills. Have you heard? I think this doesn't come from nowhere. It must be something very true. One may die, but one cannot afford to fall sick in Singapore. Now you need to know the current systems of medical costs is shifting from the government towards the individual. Individual may use cash or part of the CPF MediSave account subject to cap to fund your medical expenses. Now, the fund in your medical account is your money, right? Right? It's your money, right? Yep. Good. Okay? And do you know you cannot freely use this fund? It's subject to cap. You have to pay additional anything above by your cash. Now, I want to tell you one incident. It is very real. This is the posting from a gentleman. He shared this. The gentleman is called Stephen Chu. His experience, I want to share this with you. This is his message. Let's talk about the real life issue other than the clean government that makes Singapore a peaceful, harmonious, and a stable country. My wife passed away 5 months ago. Upon her death, there was a balance of more than 40K in her MediSave account. She has suffered from cancer for more than 2 years, and the medical cost shot the roof, even though she was a subsidized patient. You all follow me? We had to fork out tens of thousands, a lot of money, when a government policy say there is a limit as to how much she could utilize from her MediSave account. My question, which is his question, he asks, why do we need to set aside large sum of our money for our medical needs when we can't use them even for terminal illness? The key word here is terminal illness. This is one scenario when we ask ourselves, is government really taking care of us or themselves? Dear residents and fellow Singaporeans, if we do not speak up on this injustice, we lost our soul. You see many slogans around on the ruling party. They say this slogan, ruling party, they say this slogan, with you, for Singapore. The above example, is this the case? You ask yourself. The other one I mentioned is about treating mental health. Now, mental health is not on our priority list, and we need to consider this as well. Now, if ones have a safety mind on their heads, they normally will have a healthy way of looking at things, and they also have a higher morale, and the productivity also can be higher. So we also advocate that for the medical illness and patient should be inclusive. We will push for those things that I mentioned earlier. I ask for your support. Vote for SDA. Vote for SDA. Before I end my speech, I ask each of you tonight and also to tell your friends to speak up and stand up for your rights. Speak up for your rights. And my message to the ruling party, please listen to the heartbeats of your fellow Singaporeans. Thank you.